A total S show of a debate last night in California with major implications for Pennsylvania. Let me explain. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Let's go.
Yeah, you know, I love when when stuff happens in California and then it affects New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and these local things become national things and national things become local things. And it all is pretty amazing how Katie Porter's campaign for governor of California is such a freaking disaster. And this whole like F Trump thing is now forcing the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, to actually have to come out and make comments about it, along with other Democrats as well, basically saying like, hey, can we talk like people? Can we have conversations like human beings? So as Democrats are running for office in other parts of the country, it's forcing Democrats who want to run for office, higher office, to comment on those races. And point being, there is a major civil war going on in the Democrat Party right now that you're just not hearing about because it's not something the mainstream media covers. The corporate legacy media keeps telling you that there is a battle within the Republican Party right now. That's actually not true if you look at the latest election results, where the Trump-backed candidates all dominated last night. So that's where we are right now. The Democrats have a problem. The Democrats have a huge internal battle going on right now. And the question becomes, where does that leave a guy named John Fetterman, who is being courted by the Republicans to join the ranks? You have the 2028 presidential candidate, Josh Shapiro, the governor, coming out and saying to Fetterman, hey, dude, you're a Democrat. Act like one. Act like a Democrat. But what does that mean? What does act like a Democrat mean? What is it? What is it actually? Barney Frank, who was a congressman for many, many years, is dying. And recently he came out and said, hey, Democrats, stop being so far to the left. Like, cut it out. Talk like normal human beings. You've got Tom Steyer running for governor of California, who's saying that the wealth tax in California doesn't go far enough. You've got crazy people in Pennsylvania, Larry Krasner being one, now being targeted by Jim Jordan, who I interviewed yesterday, and we're going to play a little clip for you a little bit later in the show. Jim Jordan, who is going after Krasner now because Krasner is saying we're going to arrest ICE and hunt them down like they're Nazis. So it is an absolute mess. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders and his candidates, the ones that he backed, they're all winning. You hear about this great podcast battle that's going on between, well, I don't even have to say the names. You know who the names are. They're all fighting with each other. We keep hearing that there is this MAGA civil war going on. But in Indiana, the candidates who Donald Trump backed, they won the majority of the Republican primary races for the Senate in Indiana. So a majority of Republican Indiana state senators whose opponents were endorsed by President Donald Trump lost on Tuesday, a display of the president's enduring influence over his party, even after lawmakers rejected his redistricting plan 5 months ago. Of the 7 challengers endorsed by Trump, 5 won. That is a man who has a key grip on his political party. So it doesn't matter if people are fighting in the podcast universe and the podcast wars are happening and all those battles are taking place. It doesn't matter because Trump still controls the Republican Party. Bottom line. Big night for MAGA in Indiana, said Senator Jim Banks, United States Senator, who wrote on social media that he was proud to have helped elect more conservative Republicans to the Indiana State Senate. So as much as people may be divided over issues, like there is division over Iran, for example, you have to point to Indiana and say the party is still Trump's party. It's still Donald Trump's Republican Party, bottom line. But on the Democrat side, it's a freaking mess. It's all over the place. They don't know who's in charge. They really don't. So let me start with the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who's basically telling Jake Tapper regarding Senator Fetterman, hey, act like a Democrat, whatever that means.
I do want to ask you one political question. Politico's Jonathan Martin is reporting that there is a quiet but serious effort by Senate Republicans like McCormick and Katie Britt to get Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman to switch parties, to become an independent and caucus with Republicans. What's your take on that?
I mean, look, I don't know what Senator Fetterman's going to do. I know that Pennsylvanians voted for a Democrat to represent them in the United States Senate. And so I think he needs to honor that and continue with his service to Pennsylvania and hopefully get back to what he was elected to do and reflect the will of the people.
So what does that mean, Josh? Huh, Gov? What does that mean? Does that mean he should be saying F ICE? Does that mean he should be saying that illegal aliens should get free health care? Does that mean he should be saying that Trump should be impeached, arrested? Is being a Democrat like Larry Krasner and saying hunt down ICE, chase them down like the Nazis? Is that what being a Democrat means? Like, what does a Democrat mean? When you, in your mind, when you say that, what does that mean? If you ask Rahm Emanuel will tell you that the Democrat Party's gone too far left. Barney Frank will say the same thing. And they're saying, can you just act like people? Can you talk like human beings? Can you just talk like a person? But maybe being a Democrat is what Katie Porter does. So Caitlin Collins asked Katie Porter the question about F Trump. Maybe that's what Josh Shapiro means. Maybe John Fetterman and every other Democrat out there should just be saying F Trump.
The next governor of California, as we all know and have talked about tonight, will have to work with President Trump for the next 2 years. Congresswoman Porter, you recently put out an email, a fundraising email with the subject line F Trump. And you're not censoring it like I am right now. And you went on to say, quote, that's right, F Trump. Together, we're going to kick Trump's ass in November. Will F Trump be your guiding principle in dealing with the president?
When Donald Trump hurts California, as he has again and again, then I will absolutely stand up to him. 100%. He has denied wildfire funding to help disaster victims here in California. He has made it clear that he is seeking to specifically punish California in canceling green energy projects here that create good, high-paying jobs while he's allowing them to continue in other states. We absolutely have to be clear about the risk that Donald Trump presents to Californians and to our economy and to our ability to change California for the better. So if he's going to attack California, yeah, F him.
F Trump. So, Josh Shapiro, is that what you want John Fetterman to be saying? Are you saying that? Is that what you think? Do you stand by that? Is my question too. Or maybe it's Democrats should say, I will impeach Trump. Maybe you don't say F Trump. Maybe it's I Trump. Maybe instead of F Trump, it's I Trump. Impeach Trump. Because that's what the Michigan Senate Democrat Abdul El Sayed is promising if he gets elected to the United States Senate.
When people ask you questions about, say, like impeachment, what do you say?
I think he should be impeached because he has done things that are wrong. In the meantime, he is the president of the United States, and pretending like he is not would be a ridiculous thing if you're actually trying to get things done in this country. I do not think he should be president of the United States. I think he's done impeachable things. Obviously, as a future senator, I'm not in a position to impeach. But when they make the case about the impeachable things I have seen with my own eyes, I will vote accordingly.
Okay. So maybe that's what it means. Or maybe it's giving free health care for criminal illegal aliens in California, which, again, Katie Porter was asked that in the gubernatorial debate last night. I'm just trying to get the baseline here. What's the baseline? What are the metrics we're using? What's the baseline? What are we starting with as our place where we can measure our progress? So if the progress of being a good Democrat, is it this?
Congresswoman Porter, your thoughts on the idea of funding health care for undocumented immigrants statewide?
Yes.
Yes. And that's,
by the way, what I think Californians deserve as answers to these questions, Alex.
And for critics who say that we can't afford it, what do you say to that?
We can't afford to have people who are sick, who are making the rest of us sick. When anyone
they shouldn't be.
Okay. So speaking of sick, by the way, there's a whole virus thing going on a cruise ship. We'll tell you about that, too, as the show goes on. But that's the big story of the hour, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria. Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. He is the expert that other experts call when they have really, really complex issues. They go to Dr. Mike Veneria, veneriadental.com. Maybe being a Democrat, a good Democrat, is what the governor of New Jersey wants to do, which is to eliminate the last 3 seats held by Republicans in New Jersey. When I was growing up in New Jersey politics, half the state was Republican and half the state was blue. If you look at a map and how the state voted, you would see that it's really red and blue throughout the state. It's very, very mixed. the congressional map that the governor wants would basically mean every seat is blue except for maybe one. So she would pull Virginia. She's talking about doing that. There are 3 Republicans in the Garden State left. Tom Kaine Jr., who is as moderate as you get. Our friend Jeff Andrew, who, of course, comes on the show many, many times, huge friend of President Trump, was a Democrat, left the Democrat Party, and now on many issues is more conservative than most Republicans out there. And then Congressman Chris Smith, who's been there for a very, very long time and kind of has a mixed bag on his conservative record, but he's been very, very consistent on calling out China over the years, human rights abuses. He's a little hawkish at times, but he's also a guy who listens to the show and is a very nice guy and has been one of the people who's been pushing the tick Lyme virus bioweapon theory, which is not a theory, it is a fact. And Chris Smith has been pushing to get to the bottom of that the United States military created Lyme disease, the tick-borne illness, and we need answers. And you know what? He's right. I read a whole book about this. He's 100% right about this. But he's never going to get the answers that he wants, but he's pushing for it, and I say good for him. He's also very, very pro-life. So those are 3 Republican congressmen, but none of them are so extreme that you would say, my God, these people just don't relate to quote-unquote purple, blue, New Jersey, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. The governor would love to see those seats eliminated too.
In that state, what's going to happen in New Jersey? Will New Jersey redistrict under your watch, Governor?
Well, this is so typical of Trump, wrongly claiming that there was a huge problem with voting, for example, and then making a huge problem with voting. So he's gone after all of the redistricting and trying to cheat the system, trying to make it so that, they can unfairly win and he can unfairly win these seats because he hasn't governed well and he knows that a blue wave is coming. And we'll take the measures we have to take in New Jersey. Right now, we are looking at what's going on and making sure that people know that the voting system is fair. And if Trump is going to try to attack fair voting across the country, then New Jersey is going to stand up so that we can create, a counterbalance to whatever he's doing.
Counterbalance translation meaning that we have no more Republican districts in New Jersey either. So why should Republican towns and Republican voters have any representation in Congress? Why should they have that? And all of this, of course, is coming because the battle over the House of Representatives is so close. And you could argue all you want. Texas started it. It's never going to stop. It's going to keep going and going and going. Texas would say, we didn't start it. We were just properly representing our state because we have more Republican voters now than we've ever had before. Either way, this battle over redistricting is not going away. But maybe that's what Josh Shapiro means too. Maybe being a good Democrat means you make sure that there's no Republican representation in the House of Representatives. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out because I'd like to know, if you break from your party orthodoxy like Fetterman has on certain issues, then you're not being a good Democrat. But one of the issues he's breaking on is Israel, and Josh Shapiro, who is Jewish, was not picked to be his party's running mate because he's Jewish and had a guy burn down the governor's mansion, or tried to anyway, almost succeeded because he's Jewish. And John Fetterman's been calling out that anti-Semitism over and over again. But that doesn't really help you in Michigan, where that guy, Saeed, whatever his name is, has been on Hassan Piker's podcast a bunch of times. So maybe that doesn't make him a good Democrat. I don't know. See, if you're Josh Shapiro, that's a tough place to be. You want to run for president, you got to appease all these various wacky groups and wacky people. And you watch as a race in California for governor goes on, and you think, how does this reflect on me when I try to run in 2028? Like when Tom Steyer comes out, for example, and says that the billionaire's tax doesn't go far enough.
I have said that billionaires like me should pay more taxes and the big corporations should pay more taxes.
Excuse me,
and
you
that's
literally
why,
said...
if this proposition is on the ballot in November, I'll vote for it. But going forward, we do need to go further. This is a one-time tax, and it also doesn't spread the money across the government the way everything else goes. And specifically, it doesn't go to education and teachers and students, which is a critical need in the state of California. The tax I'm proposing to close a corporate real estate tax loophole is more money, and it's spread throughout the
only candidate that's actually balanced two budgets.
Congressman.
I'm confused. Do you support the billionaire's tax that is going to be on the ballot in November, yes or no?
Katie, I just said I will vote for it if it's on the ballot in November. So what I've said is,
but you just said it wasn't a good idea.
Go far enough.
The billionaire's tax doesn't go far enough. You need a trillionaire's tax, a quadrillion gajillionaire's tax, a gajillion, gajillionaire tax. That's what we need. All right? And then we'll be happy, I guess. I don't really know. Whatever that number that Dr. Evil came up with in Austin Powers Part 3, that's the number we need. So we'll add that. We would play it for you, but we get a copyright violation. I don't want to do that. So the hell with it. Wasn't even that good of a joke anyway in the movie. So, I mean, of all the Austin Powers jokes, it was probably the lesser of all of them, don't you think?
I mean there was a moment in time, Rich. And
there was a moment in time.
I'm so glad you've latched on to Blazing Saddles, which is far enough away from what MGM still cares about that we've not yet gotten flagged for playing Where the White Women At, which was a concern when we started playing it.
We probably will, because I read an article recently that nostalgia is all the rage again, which is why they're remaking all these movies like The Devil Wears Prada and others. So it's possible.
They're coming.
You know, they're coming. And when you make these old movie references, you might say to yourself, those are old movie references. But then again, nostalgia. People are watching the old stuff again. So they might be like, I just watched that the other day, even though it's 75 years old.
I don't know that kids are watching Blazing Saddles.
Probably not.
Probably.
I don't know if kids are watching anything, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's just, scroll. Like, and also the thing about that is they don't even know what they watch. That's the problem. You watch Blazing Saddles, you watched it.
Yeah.
Paid attention.
Yeah, they don't have the attention span to sit down. I don't think you watch an entire movie.
No.
And they could watch a 5-minute video and be entertained that way, which is probably a good transition actually into AI and the AI doomsayers and whether or not AI is going to A, kill you, B, take your job, C, make you its slave, or D, all the above. So, what do you think will happen with artificial intelligence? Oh, and I have another question for you too, which is, would you ever go on a cruise again, even if one was offered to you free? So we'll talk about that too. But first, let me tell you about our great friends over at Emmons Roofing and Siding, because this time of year, it's beautiful out. The weather's starting to warm up, but we get a lot of rain, as you know. And rain's in the forecast for the next couple days, this weekend. How is your roof? If you need a new roof, Emmons is your go-to contractor. If you need roof repairs, they'll do that for you too. And they'll never tell you you need a new roof unless you really do. They don't lie. There's a lot of big contractors out there that do. Like, they'll see one broken shingle and they'll say, oh, you got to replace the whole thing, because they're trained to do that. Not Emmons. They're very honest. That's why I use them and have used them in 2 different homes for 12 years. The materials are made in America. So the Owens Corning shingle made in Kearney, New Jersey. And you get a lifetime warranty on the roof, the shingle, and the workmanship as well. In addition to that, you also get American-made doors and windows and CertainTeed siding made right outside of Philadelphia. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So reach out to them today by going to emmonsroofing.com, EMMONS, emmonsroofing.com. And don't forget about bathroom remodeling, kitchen and bathroom remodeling. They did that for my home, and they did a fantastic job. So I love the work they did recently on the kids' bathroom. You will love it as well if you decide to go that way in your home. emmonsroofing.com. Make sure you tell them I sent you. So the question of artificial intelligence, and my friend over at the at the New York Post, Lydia Moynihan, who's somebody who I've been on the show with, I've been on Fox News with before. She's a very bright, up-and-coming, talented reporter on the cover of New York Magazine this month, as a matter of fact. which kind of makes sense because she's on Fox a lot. And now one of the Murdochs wants to buy New York Magazine. So it sort of makes sense they put her on there. But inside the well-funded AI doom machine, and who is benefiting from it? AI doom. Remember, I've told you before, people love the idea of doom. It's always us versus them. They got to try to scare you all the time. So some people would argue AI is going to make life better. It's going to result in actually more jobs. It's going to result in quality of life. And then there's an entire industry whose job it is to make you scared to death of all things artificial intelligence. Bernie Sanders hosted a panel featuring top Chinese AI officials tied to Beijing's Ministry of Science and Technology, and they discussed the, quote, existential threat of artificial intelligence and the need for international cooperation. The gathering is a striking illustration of how AI doomerism, that's an actual term, the belief that advanced AI poses an existential threat to humanity, has quietly forged one of the stranger coalitions in modern politics. Socialists, Hollywood unions, January 6 organizers, and Chinese government officials are now aligned in trying to slow down American AI development, all under the guise of saving humanity. Quote from the executive director of Build American AI said, "You have this huge ecosystem pushing AI doomerism with zero regard for the consequences, the main one being that America will fall behind in the global AI race." And according to a report released from the Bull Moose Project, doomers have been spending a fortune. A tight network of donors, with former Facebook executive Dustin Moscovitz's coefficient giving at the center of the boomer doomerism, has spent close to $6 billion and has about $40 billion publicly pledged to fight AI, or at least push the AI doomerism out there. They've given out more than $600 million in donation to candidates, 99%. 99% of whom are Democrats. Why? Because obviously, like we saw with Spirit Airlines, Democrats are much more likely to get involved and intervene in the private sector. They're much more likely to try to stop data centers from being built. They're much more likely to put in regulations. They're much more likely to put in blue tape. Remember, we call it blue tape on this show, not red tape, because it happens in blue cities and blue states. The bureaucracy, the paperwork, the things to slow it down. So 99.8% of the donations this group has given out, Democrats. Dark money groups and so-called AI safety organizations, such as the Future of Life Institute, have also gotten that money. But there are some conservative groups out there also taking money as well, like Amy Kremer. You might know her for organizing the Stop the Steal rally in January of 2021. She hosted a bipartisan town hall in New York alongside progressives and AI engineers to discuss limiting AI's power. The event comes days after the AI doomer policy group, the Future of Life, released an AI declaration to hold AI companies accountable and included signatories from SAG-AFTRA to progressives Ralph Nadler and Susan Rice, conservatives like Kremer and others. Now, there are various different reasons why we should be obviously concerned about a lot of things around AI, but one of the key things is that China is going all in, full speed ahead. So if your goal is to limit AI, you're as dumb as the people who are trying to ban plastic bags under the guise of saving the planet. Because China is the world's biggest polluter. So the equivalent would be you saying, I'm going to ban plastic straws so I can save the earth. While China is polluting more than any other country in the world, by combined, basically, and China's doing more to destroy the environment single-handedly than your little plastic straw can't do a damn thing about. So if you're one of those people who says, we got to stop AI because it's going to destroy the world, ha, 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 China is not slowing down. Just like China's not slowing down on pollution, China's not slowing down on coal, China's not slowing down on any of it. So you can pretend, you can go, yeah, I'm going to drive my little electric car, save the world. Well, guess what? That lithium for that battery comes from, most likely, at least as of right now, China. In fact, the battery is probably made in China. China's not slowing down in AI. China has a 5-year plan right now to dominate AI. And so all of these people say, as Lydia Moynihan points out in her excellent piece in the New York Post, the move could hamper innovation in the United States and cede power to China. Most of what the public hears is catastrophic language, problems, and no solutions, which threatens to undermine American AI leadership and disrupt any thoughtful policy process. China just rolled out their 5-year plan for AI. This group doesn't want America to have a 5-year plan. They just want to control it for themselves, slow it down, raise billions, slow domestic innovation. Beijing is racing ahead with no handicap whatsoever. The consequence is being unable to compete, and they don't seem concerned about that at all. Of course not, because Bernie Sanders would be fine if China ran the world. You know that, and I know that. We all know that. Everybody knows that. So Bernie does these things. In addition to his Stop the Oligarchy tour, he goes on his, Stop the AI tour. And he has these rallies in various different places, and he brings on an AI expert who tells him that AI could wipe out civilization. Now, I'm not saying AI is perfect. I mean, there is an article in the Wall Street Journal that I read recently about how this kid went on ChatGPT and was asking it all kinds of questions about the best way to pull off a school shooting, and ChatGPT was giving him all the answers, like how many kills he would need to be able to get fame, and the kind of gun he'd have to use. And then the kid went out and shot a school in Florida. So yeah, no, there are issues, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like AI is fine. In fact, even just in your own house, in your own life, there's the problems with AI. I mean, we have a story about how your doorbell, like your doorbell camera's a mess too, and it's making your life difficult just for misinterpreting things. And I mean, there's issues. Like, we'll go to this. Security cameras are failing spectacularly at common sense. AI descriptions designed to give customers more detail than generic motion alerts are mistaking brake lights for house fires, humans for bears, which again could be just a big furry guy in San Francisco. It says your camera has detected an intruder. Warning, bear sighting, and it was just your dog. Your camera has lots of stuff. So there's all kinds of issues with home security cameras. They've tagged humans as bears and turkeys. Some devices have registered a bear when it was a raccoon, a dog, even a fluttering flag. A corgi was called the pig. Window reflections have been misconstrued as a possible intruder, a tornado, blah, blah, blah. It can be very impressive, but it has a long way to go. So I get all that. At the same time, do you really want to stop American innovation, or do you want to see it improve? That's the question. But when Bernie brings on the AI Doomsday machine, which is funded by $46 billion in AI Doom, and AI Doom experts tell him things like this.
You have a real concern that if we do not control this technology, it could escape us with calamitous impacts. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is what I said.
Does the rapid and uncontrolled development of AI pose a substantial threat to the human race? Are people like Nobel Prize winner Dr. Jeffrey Hinton exaggerating when they say there is a 10 to 20% chance that AI wipes out humanity?
No, they're not exaggerating it. In my professional opinion, based on a paper that we published in the top AI conference, NeurIPS, recently, they were actually sugarcoating it. I think it's likely to be a lot higher than 20% risk that we basically end civilization as we know it if you steam ahead with completely unregulated AI. Why do I say that? Well, because what the companies are very openly admitting that they're trying to build here is not just some slightly smarter chatbot, some ordinary technology. They're saying they want to build super intelligence, which by definition is AI that's so smart that it can outperform by huge margins humans at every job. And they can also, with incredible skill, control
this reminds me of
machines. And
it reminds me of people like when Democrats do gun control, and then the only people that get affected are law-abiding citizens. Like if you do AI control because you want to guard against quantum computers or super intelligence or any of this stuff, all you're doing is hurting American innovation. Because the bad guys are going to move full steam ahead with this, and they have their own collection of Bond villains who can build this stuff for them. It's not, I think we all act like, you know, when you see the movie Oppenheimer, it's a great reminder that there are smart people around the world. Many of them were in Germany, as a matter of fact. And then we got them here because they were not big fans of Hitler. And also some of them were Jewish. And so we had them help Oppenheimer with the atomic bomb. But I think there's this idea that we have all the smart people in the world. And the rest of the world's a bunch of idiots. So if we stop AI, then that's it. It's over. It's done. Like we're good. You know what I mean? As long as the US stops it, there's no smart people anywhere else in the world. There's not like there's any bad people in Japan or China or Germany or Russia or Iran or anywhere else that would be smart enough to come up with this stuff. It's us or nothing. It's like a background check. So it's just like as long as we have background checks and nobody's going to kill anybody, nobody's going to use a gun illegally. As long as we have laws against people, then we'll be fine. Because there's no criminals out there who would abuse those laws. It's so stupid. The whole thing is so silly. But these are people that have the fantasy that government can actually control things. And then when government intervenes in things like with Spirit Airlines, what happens? You make a situation worse. And there are some people who have come after me on social media recently who said that I'm lying when I say that Pete Buttigieg and Biden's Justice Department are responsible for Spirit Airlines going out of business. So we found a little flashback clip for you. And I think this ties in perfectly with AI. It ties in perfectly with this idea of regulating this industry. When the government gets involved, all you do is F it up. Here's AG Merrick Garland in March of 2023, when the United States of America went after Spirit and JetBlue to stop the merger, which they were successful in doing, which has led now to Spirit Airlines going out of business.
Today, the Department of Justice filed a civil antitrust lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts to stop the merger of JetBlue and Spirit Airlines. We are joined in that lawsuit by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the State of New York, and the District of Columbia. I'm here with Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta and Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Doha Mekki. Our complaint alleges that JetBlue's proposed $3.8 billion acquisition of Spirit violates Section 7 of the Clayton Act. We allege that if allowed to proceed, this merger will limit choices and drive up ticket prices for passengers across the country. And we further allege that the impact of this merger will be particularly harmful for travelers who rely on what are known as ultra-low-cost carriers in order to fly. Those
well, guess what, genius? Now there's one less ultra low-cost carrier to fly because they couldn't make it on their own thanks to you. And this is exactly the same kind of crap the Democrats are going to do when it comes to AI, but China's not slowing down. Let me tell you about my happy place, the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. Now, Memorial Day is right around the corner, so you got to make your reservations now for Memorial Day weekend. You stay 4 more consecutive nights. Thursday night is free. That's right, free. I love Cape May in the summer. It is the absolute best place to be. There's no place better. It's beautiful. And you know why it's so beautiful? Because you have those Victorian homes. You've got all the history. You've got a huge, beautiful outdoor heated pool, a big, beautiful indoor heated pool. If you book a June midweek stay, you'll save. 3 nights, you'll get $60 a night in resort credits. 5 nights gets you $70 a night in resort credits. 7 nights, you get $80 a night in resort credits, and you can use those credits right on property at Hemingway's restaurant, the pool bar, the beach cabana, the gift shop, however you like. The Grand Hotel is all about giving back to their guests. And that's why you have to book direct with them for the best rates by going to grandhotelcapemay.com. grandhotelcapemay.com. If you do that, you will save, you will get money back in your pocket, and you'll be a very, very happy person enjoying your summer vacation, making memories. And many of these rooms, you know, suites and townhomes also have kitchenettes and refrigerators. So you can save lots of money this summer and way better than a shore house. Because, you know, if it rains, you got the indoor heated pool, you got the arcade, and you got a restaurant right on site. It's perfect. It really is the perfect place for a summer vacation. grandhotelcapemay.com. Now, this comedian, so Jared, this is the clip that I think you wanted to play. I have not been able to hear this myself. So tell us about this clip.
Jimmy Carr is a British comedian. He's famous for crowd work. So people like shout things at him.
Oh yeah.
And but he's very, very smart. So whenever he is on a podcast or something like that, it's his take always, like, I just always enjoy him. So I follow a lot of Jimmy Carr, and he was on a podcast where they asked him about AI. Was I setting it up? Am I going to the clip?
Oh yeah. No, that was literally you setting it up.
This is so much power. Okay, sorry. My fault.
People are worried about the wrong thing with AI, in my humble opinion. People are worried about losing their job. Right? Perfectly valid thing to worry about, but I think you're worried about the wrong thing. And there's two other things you could really worry about. Firstly, the cost of running an authoritarian regime like the Stasi has come down by 10 orders of magnitude in the last 3 years. If you had to run the Stasi, if you were in East Germany back in the day, that was like 20% of GDP on spying on people and keeping an eye out. Okay, that's now, you've got a bunch of cameras, you've got AI, everyone's got a phone on them, and we're tracking everything at all times. Okay? That's a worry, because we live in liberal democracies and we're very lucky to, but our leaders, how long will they resist that temptation? You know, digital ID is...
what happened during COVID?
Digital ID is terrifying. There's lots of lessons from history about digital ID that we should take very seriously. Because even if the good guys are in charge when it comes in, well, at what point does the world turn and people vote for a bad guy and then they have the power?
I mean, look, it's a great point. It's one of the points that I raise about FISA all the time with my concerns. Congressman Jim Jordan joined me for an interview. We talked about him going after Philadelphia, but we also talked about the Southern Poverty Law Center. And because I'm not a coward, I asked him about FISA. And we're going to play that clip for you, and then you'll listen to the full interview on the podcast if you'd be so kind. Because it's audio, and audio only doesn't really work great on video, and it's a whole thing with the algorithm, which we're still trying to conquer and master, and all that. So forgive me for that, but it's a good interview, and I asked him, and I like him, and I trust him, and I think he is cognizant of my concerns and my fears, and the fears we all have about FISA and Section 702 and all of that. But I'm not going to kid myself and think that if tomorrow we stop AI data centers, like if tomorrow we stop AI, the government is still not going to be using AI to track me and make my life a living freaking hell. All it's going to do is hurt the private sector. And I think you'd have to be an idiot to think otherwise. I really do. And so the concerns that comedian just gave in that clip are spot on. It will be used. Even if you tomorrow said, all right, no more AI in the private sector, no more data centers, no more. Jimmy Carr's point is valid, and it's not like the government's not going to stop. We've talked about geofencing, which is now a case before the Supreme Court, the geo warrants, which basically you'll get scooped up in a giant warrant. Online tracking. This is why I'm against these age verification laws. You could pretend to slow down AI in the private sector, but the government's going to move full steam ahead spying on your ass. 100%. And they're going to keep doing the fear mongering. By the way, please subscribe if you would to the podcast. We would appreciate it very, very much. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. We really, really do. All right, I got to get into a couple of things on Iran before we play the interview with Jim Jordan. But just want to let you know, Marco Rubio is taking this DJ thing very, very seriously. So he went to a wedding and he started DJing. And then that became a whole thing. And they asked him what his DJ name is. And he wouldn't tell anybody.
All right, this has to be the last question.
Secretary, many people want to know, what is your DJ name?
My DJ name?
Your DJ name.
You're not ready for my DJ name.
Okay. He's not ready for my DJ name, but he is starting to sound a whole lot like a DJ with his latest message to Iran. Am I right?
What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the Strait so the world can get back to normal. He preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working and that all of us have been supporting. That's the route he prefers. That is so far not the route that Iran has chosen. And so the result has been that the United States has to do something about the fact that we're the only nation on earth that can do anything to open up a lane within the Straits of Hormuz to get product and to rescue these people that are trapped in there. And that's what we're undergoing now. What that may lead to in the future is speculative. I'm not going to speculate about what it would take or what it would do. But look, the message to Iran, these guys are facing, they are facing real catastrophic destruction to their economy, generational destruction to their economy, generational destruction to the wealth of their country, imposed on themselves by the actions that they're taking. They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself, Jared. He is definitely embracing this DJ. I like it.
It's a Secretary of State telling a foreign adversary to check themselves before they wreck themselves.
Yo, man, check yourself before you wreck yourself, Iran.
Honestly, I think that his memeability has really been what's helping him in that Marco JD thing, right? Like the on the couch, him DJing. Like the internet likes Marco Rubio.
They do. Every day there's a new one. Marco Rubio finding out he has to be the new queen of pop after Britney Spears was arrested for DUI. It's like every day there's a new Marco Rubio meme.
And a little bit true. That he's the guy doing everything. True. Yeah, he's holding it down.
He's got another job to do.
Yep.
Basically, with Iran, the president's giving them another deadline. I'll just say this. I mean, he said what I've been saying, which is that they want to protest, but they don't have guns. He said you could have, 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 people with guns. And when they start shooting them, they're all going to die. It's a consistent message on what we have been saying on this show, which is that you can root for the Iranian people to uprise. You can root for them to stand up to the regime, and you can root for them to overthrow their government. But without guns, they can't do it.
You said recently that if Iranians were armed, they could take over their regime. Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you could have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right between the eyes, and you see a guy fall and another one fall, and you have no guns, very few people would be able to stand there and do it. I mean, I understand it. I tell them not to. Don't forget, they killed 42,000 people last month. 42,000 unarmed protesters. They had no guns. So they had a 250,000 people crowd, and they had snipers. They had like 4 or 5 snipers in buildings up high. And you're standing there, and all of a sudden the guy on your left goes down, then somebody. That's what happened with the women protest. They had 200,000 women protesting a year ago, and everyone thought that was the end of Iran. And then all of a sudden, a woman dropped dead with a bullet right there, always right there. Then another woman dropped, and then the word started to spread, and then there was panic, and then they ran, and so I don't want that to happen. We don't need that, we don't need it. But the only reason they want to protest so badly, but they don't have weapons. Yeah.
They don't have weapons. So what are you going to do? Lindsey Graham's idea is to just give them weapons. How are you going to do that? How are you just going to give them weapons? You're going to airdrop weapons in? You're going to like drop them in boxes, open a Bob's Little Sport Shop satellite store in Tehran? Like, how does that work exactly? This is what Graham said.
Yeah, blockade plus. Now, what does that mean? I love the idea of a Second Amendment solution for the Iranian people. To those who want to eliminate the Second Amendment in our country, no way. What did the Founding Fathers do? When they got to America, free from the king, they made sure the people would be able to be armed. The first thing the king does is takes the guns away from his subjects. The first thing a religious theocracy does is make sure that nobody can have a gun to threaten the regime. So if I were President Trump and I were Israel, I would load the Iranian people up with weapons so they could go to the streets armed and turn the tide of battle inside Iran. We don't need American boots on the ground. We've got millions of boots on the ground in Iran. They just don't have any weapons. Give them the weapons so they can rise up like we did to destroy this regime. A Second Amendment solution, I think, would go a long way to ending this war.
Great. That sounds great. We'll give them unicorns too, and balloons, and popcorn, and bubble ones. Give them bubble ones. So when they're shooting, they could also make bubbles. I shoot with my right hand, and I make bubbles with my left hand, and give them rides to Space Mountain too. In fact, why don't you give them the Disney Speed Pass? How about that? That's the one that lets you cut the line, I think it is. Or whatever the hell they call it nowadays. They keep changing the friggin' name, whatever it is. Give them that. Give them that so they don't have to wait on long lines for the new Star Wars exhibit. And while you're at it, give them tasty cake because these people are deprived of tasty, delicious snacks. It sounds perfect. How about we give them kamikaze dolphins? Did you want to say? Did you want to? I'm trying to come up with a solution here that makes everybody happy. Okay. Did you have a better idea, Jared?
I deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm they don't. Ultimately, any follow-on effort, if there are mines identified, would be something that some of our units could undertake or the world could undertake. But right now, we know we have a lane of safe passage that commercial shipping can. Low level.
What?
I just want freaking kamikaze dolphins with freaking laser beams. Okay, is that so hard? Huh?
What? And I can't confirm or deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm they don't.
Okay. I just want freaking kamikaze dolphins with freaking laser beams, Jared.
That's all I ask. Rich, did you see that headline and you were like, oh, fake, like this is an onion? Like when I saw the headline, SecDef will not confirm if the US does or does not have kamikaze. I was like, oh, I bet a dolphin is some sort of water drone. It is not.
No,
it is a dolphin.
It is literally a dolphin, and I expect the animal rights people to be out there protesting immediately. Like, they won't protest the treatment of the Iranians towards their own people or towards women or towards gays. You mess with a dolphin, though, you know, you're going to open up a can of PETA whoop ass on you. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying right there. That's all I'm saying. What a freaking mess. I just want freaking kamikaze dolphins with freaking laser beams on them.
This is 200% more 1990s comedy references to Austin Powers than we ever should make in that movie's like 35 years old, and we're just like quoting it like it just happened.
And I'm not proud of it. It's not like I'm happy about it. I'm a little embarrassed deep down inside about it, to be honest with you. But you know, what are we gonna do? I blame you. Yeah, I blame you.
Okay. With my hip energy.
Well, apparently, if you do something wrong, you just blame your producer, like Stephen Colbert, who's blaming his producer for turning The Late Show into a left-wing lecture series.
This poor guy.
I mean, you've been a program director, you've been a producer, you've been all those things. Don't you love it when the host, like the show sucks and it fails and it turns around and they're like, it's because of the producer, man. All right, the producer was terrible. Colbert told the New York Times, it was my instinct to be less topical because I didn't want to have to engage with what I saw as an increasingly contentious public discourse. And I thought, aren't there other ways to have fun with the audience? But apparently his producer, Jared, That's a really evil Jared. I don't know if his producer's name is Jared, but for the purposes of this, it is. Told him, nope, you got to start making political commentary. That's what you got to do.
So after he had done a political satire show doing nothing but Democrat political commentary, he got The Late Show, and he was like, hey, I don't want to do left-wing political commentary. And they were like, no, you get back out there. He was like, no, I want to do wacky, I want to throw the what's in the bottle, well, all the stuff that, Jimmy Fallon's doing. He was like, no, you give the people, you will never book a Republican on this show. I am the boss. That's what Colbert would have us believe.
That's what we're supposed to believe. That he, who is making like what, $23 million a year or something like that, and it was his name on the show, and it was his show, at no point during contract negotiations got to add this one line in.
Creative
I get
control.
creative input, not even control. Like I get a vote. Like I get a vote, and you know what I mean, in the whole thing.
I will also say that don't they clean? It's not like the Letterman people. That's what they were doing, and they like hung around, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not like they were there. It's not like Letterman's producers were like, okay, kid, we've been running this political ship for the last 20 years, and you're gonna fall in line. Like it's all new people. It's all their handpicked.
And even if it was like that movie where Marky Mark becomes the rock star,
okay,
we're still doing references from the 90s.
Movie called Rockstar. All right.
And then becomes the lead singer of the band. Like at some point, don't you take over? You know what I mean? In the movie Dave, when Kevin Kline, because we're still sticking with this. We're sticking with this.
He ran for city council. Did his own thing.
When he becomes, eventually Sigourney Weaver figures it out and realizes and then he becomes president and he starts acting like it and running the show. Don't you think at some point during the course of The Late Show, Stephen Colbert gets enough juice to, I don't know, turn around and be like, maybe I can hire like one person I know? Like one? Fred, who does the catering? Can I at least bring that guy in?
You mean when Stephen Colbert was having unprecedented ratings bump in the Trump's first term, and because he was telling political comedy, you don't think that was the moment that Colbert could have said, hey, I think we should have a phase 2 on this? You don't think when he was number one dominating?
And do you think the response was, no, don't ask again, but we will pay you $25 million a year. However, don't you dare ask us a question like that again, okay?
I think it was probably...
And now you're getting a cubicle.
Oh, I bet he did. No, I bet on like the check, he was getting $1.2 million, and they were just like, another zero? Hang on, how much to shut up? Another zero? How much? We're going to make this go away, buddy. Money solves everything. And he was like, oh, well, $24 million. I can't.
Fine. I'll throw my producer who's making $180,000 a year under the bus.
It was all those writers and those producers. I had no power. Innocent bystander.
And the teleprompter guy who every night put in his own freaking political jokes.
Poor Colbert.
All right, that's all we got for you. We got a lot more, but we're out of time, actually. So I don't know what to tell you. Blame Jared. Have a great rest of your day. Please hit the subscribe button. Come back tomorrow. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. And thank you for listening to the show. We appreciate it.
Let's go.